My name's Heather Ward, and I chose to watch the movie Wonder for the Dismantling Stereotypes assignment. Wonder was released in 2018, and the main character is Augie Pullman, who has Treacher Collins syndrome. Augie's been homeschooled for his entire life until fifth grade, which is the first time that he's going to be attending general education. So the movie basically is his journey back into the school system or into the school system for the first time. Treacher-Collins syndrome is a genetic disorder that's very rare. There's a gene mutation that affects how the baby's face develops before birth. There's no cure, and oftentimes there can be hearing or vision loss as well as breathing problems. I think the movie portrayed some of the characteristics of Treacher-Collins syndrome, but not as accurately as possible. Because the main character does not actually have Treacher-Collins syndrome, the portrayal is limited to Hollywood makeup and acting. Another point is you only see Augie as a fifth grader. So there's a mention in the movie of the 27 surgeries that he's had to help correct his breathing, his hearing, as well as some of the facial deformities, but they're not portrayed or seen at all in the movie. Some of the main points and attitudes that are being conveyed. Pity is definitely, I think, the overall attitude or feeling that you have when watching this movie. So on this slide here, I included some of the quotes from our readings that I thought related to some of the attitudes that were being conveyed. But definitely pity, I think that is the overall the emotion that you have. You just feel really bad because he is treated so poorly by others. They're afraid of him. They think they'll get the plague if they touch him. And he just, it shows you really how hard it is to fit in, or how hard it is for people that have disabilities to fit in to an environment where the majority of people do not have disabilities. I do think there's also a important message of acceptance that's portrayed in the movie as well, and just how important it is to accept others. Some of the effects that the movie could have for people with Treacher-Collins syndrome, I think they could relate to the feelings and emotions of ostracization by society, and the feeling of wanting to hide because of how they look or the comments and looks that they receive from others. I don't think, as I mentioned before, that the severity and rareness are accurately represented for all individuals. This movie also, at the end, Augie becomes the hero and he receives an award, and the child that's extremely cruel to him throughout the movie is the villain, and everybody, is loves Augie, which is not necessarily an accurate real life portrayal of what happens. So, you may or may not like that. I also think that if you don't like it, then maybe you have some overall feelings of resentment, but at the same time, maybe you appreciate the awareness that the movie could bring for Treacher-Collins syndrome, because I personally had never heard of it before. Some effects that the movie could have for people without disabilities. This movie definitely pulls on your heartstrings. So I've seen it a few times, and every time I think it's aimed to pull at your heartstrings. Pity as well. There's definitely an overall vibe or feeling of just, you feel sorry for the character because of his disability and the way that he's treated. And you're also extremely angry with the characters that are cruel to him. As I mentioned before, the unrealistic ending. But I do think hopefully it has an effect that a positive effect, that there isn't anything to be afraid of, and that people all have amazing qualities and strengths and capabilities, and really gets across that message of acceptance. They use the word ordinary when they talk about people that do not have disabilities, and so I really liked that they used that word ordinary. I thought that was cool. And I think it just really makes you think about the interactions between people with disabilities and the people without, and really how hard it is to be in an environment where you are the minority, in the sense that you have the disability and everybody doesn't. And hopefully it just brings across the overall message to choose kind. As far as a learning experience, I'd seen the movie before the readings as well as after. So I think just being aware of what Hollywood does and how they really do portray people in the movies gives you a different perspective when watching it before and after. And this movie definitely checked plenty of the boxes. As far as Hollywood's portrayal of people with disabilities, so that I would have never even considered or thought of prior to. As far as learning experience for our role as educators, I think it's so important to truly get to know all that you can about your students and really research and educate ourselves about the disabilities in our classrooms and the best ways to meet the needs in the educational setting. It's also extremely important to understand the impacts that the disability may have on a student's school performance and be able to adapt and maintain a safe and healthy environment for all of our students. Thanks so much.